As English speakers, we've got it pretty good. We use this for stuff that's closer and that for stuff that's further away. If there's a cookie right in front of you, it's this cookie. But if it's way over there on the other side of the room, it's that cookie. And if somebody already ate the cookie, we grieve briefly and move on. We do this with time too. You might say this morning was great when you mean today, but that terrible morning last year when you're still not over it. English gives us this and that and calls it a day. But Spanish? Spanish looks at our simple system and says, hold my cerveza. This is the same language that gives us 4 versions of the: el, la, los, and las. So naturally, it pulls the same move with this and that. In Spanish, these words change depending on whether the noun is masculine, feminine, or none of the above. And of course, there are plurals too. Fun. But here's the thing. Yes, this is annoying at first. Yes, all these words look the same in the beginning. But the reason this continues to be a problem for so many people isn't because it's actually hard. It's because they never calm their little tushy down and fully focus on what's happening. This isn't as hard as verb conjugation or object pronouns, lo, la, le, se. It's not as hard as ser versus a star or por versus para. This is a small, closed system. If you sit down, put in 15 to 30 minutes of focused memorization and practice, this stops being a problem forever. So you're ready to calm your little tushy down? Here's what's going on. For masculine nouns, this is este and that is ese. For feminine nouns, this is esta and that is esa. So if you're talking about a book, which in Spanish is el libro, a masculine noun, this book is este libro and that book is ese libro. But if you're talking about a table, which is la mesa, a feminine noun, this table is esta mesa and that table is esa mesa. It's a little confusing right off the bat because this for a feminine noun is esta, which looks a lot like está. So we've got esta without an accent, which means this for feminine nouns. Then está with an accent on the A means is from the verb estar. This is something that's confusing in the beginning, but you'll get used to fast. Soon it'll be like 4 and 4. Do 4 and 4 throw you for a loop? Esta and esta are even easier because you can hear the difference too. So the masculine versions of this and that are este and ese, not esto and eso as you might expect. Did you hear that? The masculine versions of this and that are este and ese, not esto and eso. Making things even more confusing, esto and eso do exist and they do also mean this and that, but they're not used for masculine nouns. Esto and eso are used when we're talking about ideas, situations, concepts, vague stuff, things that aren't specifically masculine or feminine. Like say you're putting together some IKEA furniture. You might say, this is complicated. In Spanish, that could be esto es complicado. It's esto because what's complicated, not a specific masculine or feminine noun. The situation is complicated. The process is complicated. No specific noun is being talked about, so we use esto. If someone tells you a wild story, you might say, that is incredible, which in Spanish could be eso es increíble. Now it's eso because this isn't talking about a specific masculine or feminine noun. You're reacting to their story, an abstract idea or situation. That's why it's eso. You with me? There are 3 versions of this: este, esta, or esto. Masculine, feminine, then abstract or unspecified. And there are 3 versions of that: ese, esa, or eso. Masculine, feminine, then abstract or unspecified. The most important thing to remember is esto and eso are not for masculine nouns. They're for abstract, unspecified nouns. Of course, we're not done yet. Time for the plurals. A little easier, but still a bit confusing. In English, this becomes these for closer things, and that becomes those for further things. Then in Spanish, for masculine nouns, these is estos, and those is esos, and for feminine nouns, these is estas and those is esas. That's it. There's no third form of these and those. But do you see what's going on? The confusing part is este becomes estos, not estes, and ese becomes esos, not eses. Estes and eses don't exist. That's important. Estes and eses do not exist. Este becomes estos and ese becomes esos. So this book is este libro, but these books is estos libros. And that book is is ese libro, but those books is esos libros. Este becomes estos, and ese becomes esos. Then the feminines are easy. These tables is estas mesas, because mesas is feminine, and those tables is esas mesas. If your brain hurts a little, don't worry, that's normal. The good news is, if you totally mess this up every time, people will still understand you, like always. If you say esto libro or esta libro instead of este libro, people will know you mean this book. If you say este mesa instead of esta mesa, no one's calling the language police. They'll get it. So work toward getting it right, but don't freeze in real conversations trying to calculate grammatical gender like you're defusing a bomb. Pick one and move on. Flow beats perfection every time. Here's a fun memory trick that helps a lot of people in the beginning. In Spanish, this and these have T's, that and those don't. This is saying este, esta, and esto, all the words for this, they all have T's in them. Estos and estas, the words for these, also have T's in them. But ese, esa, and eso, the words for that, don't. Neither do esos or esas, the words for those. So, this and these have T's, that and those don't. The closer things have T's, the further things don't. Now I want to talk about something that I've personally noticed over the years, something I've never seen covered in a textbook or lesson of any kind. So this isn't a strict grammar rule, it's just a strong pattern I've noticed. If somebody's holding a book and says this is interesting, they might say este es interesante, just as I showed you in this video. They're talking about a masculine noun, book or el libro, so este. But in the real world, in this exact situation, Spanish speakers will often say esto es interesante, with esto instead of este, even though they have a book in their hand, a masculine noun. Technically, the difference comes down to the speaker's focus. If they're more focused on the actual book, it's este. If they're more focused on the information or ideas inside the book, an abstract idea, it's esto. But in my experience, they default to esto in this situation, and mostly use este and esta when the noun is mentioned in the same sentence or a nearby sentence. So even when talking about a book, this is interesting is often esto es interesante, because the book wasn't mentioned. But then this book is interesting would be este libro es interesante. Now it's este because the book is mentioned. It works like that even when the noun was mentioned in a nearby sentence. If someone asks which book is your favorite, the reply will usually be this is my favorite. Este es mi favorito. The noun isn't mentioned in this sentence, but it was just mentioned in the previous sentence, so it's still este. When the noun hasn't been mentioned, Spanish often goes with esto and eso, even when everyone knows you're talking about a specific masculine or feminine noun. Not always, but often. Now, watching me explain all this is the easy part. The real work is on you. Set aside 15 to 30 minutes. That's it. If you actually focus, that's enough time to start wiring this into your subconscious. To make it easier for you, I made you a free practice worksheet. Go to the link in the description or the comments and download it. Do that practice worksheet. Check your answers, then move on. It won't take long, and if you actually do the worksheet, you'll see that what I said at the beginning of this video is true. This isn't that hard. You just have to focus, and not for very long. One more thing. In Spanish, there are actually 3 levels of distance. This, that, and that over there even further. They express this even further level of distance with words like aquel, aquella, and aquello, and the plurals. We're not getting into all that today, though. Your brain has been through enough, and to be honest, I personally never say these words. They are used, though, so we gotta recognize them, but recognizing them is all that's required to live an amazing Spanish-speaking life. Another day, perhaps? One final review. For this, you've got este, esta, and esto. For that, you've got ese, esa, and eso. For these, you've got estos and estas. For those, you've got esos and esas. Just remember, esto and eso are not for masculine nouns, and estes and esas don't exist. The key is exposure. Read Spanish, listen to Spanish, sing it badly in your car, talk to real human beings, and do the practice worksheet I made you. That's how this stops being a confusing mess and starts becoming something you just know and never have to worry about again. If this video helped you, hit the like button. If it didn't, don't. The more I know it helps you, the more I can make videos that help you. Until the next time, hasta luego.